My name is Connor Bryant. My IB candidate number is 555555. I will be commentating on Hamlet's famous to be or not to be soliloquy. His famous to be or not to be soliloquy is expressed in the first person, altering tones and verb tenses. Using a very universal tone, he starts off with his famous to be or not to be. That is the question. He's questioning his existence, the overall meaning of life, and he is questioning whether to fight life calmly or accept it. Fight life or to calmly accept it. It shows no rhyme scheme and goes throughout with a sonnet type build. He shows off by doubting the idea of the true Renaissance man who is involved in reading and writing and literature, and all the way throughout is very based off of this courage and cunning through knighthood and whatnot. However, Hamlet says that his idea of courage is one that is expressed through the ability to cross the border between life and death. He expresses that we do not know what is past this life. We do not know what the afterlife is and what it brings. He expresses this, for in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we shuffled off this mortal coil. The mortal coil being the metaphor, saying that we do not know whether life is this expressed idea of this religious affiliation of divine afterlife, or whether it is just your body being in the ground, a lifeless pile of meat. He speaks of how the reason that we do not commit suicide is that we have this fear of the unknown. This universal fear that people feel is known as one of the unknown. People do not realize what this afterlife brings. He says that we do not commit suicide because we are cowards. We do not know what the afterlife brings, and this brings out that universal idea of human freedom, or human fear, general universal fear of the unknown. People do not like the unknown. He shows that the soliloquy he uses very universal pronouns such as we, us, and who, with the unknown, the who. This points to the sort of omnipotent idea of he's not speaking about just his own situation, but in a universal way as well. He is speaking of a greater idea, of a all-knowing, omniscient idea. He's speaking on the universal level, and unlike what most of his soliloquies to this point are, which are more very emotional, bantering, uncoordinated rants on a very emotional level, very unthought, and they are not in a premeditated way. While this soliloquy, unlike the others, while also being the most meaningful and one of the longest, seems very thought out and thorough and coordinated. It's very complex and something that maybe is not expressed in the way that he thought of it before, but is something that is obviously showing great meaning and high value. This high value and great meaning can be shown throughout, as I counted out in my sheet, is to show that there are 29 untraditional capitalized nouns and great allusions to unknown ideas and myths. that shows the importance, highlights the importance of this meaning of the poem as a whole. It shows and goes throughout, whether it is in the third line, slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, 3 capitalized, slings, arrows, and fortune, showing the idea between slings, arrows, and outrageous fortune, whether you want to suffer that, showing that idea, that great idea of how important those things are, or to take arms, arms capitalized, against a sea, sea capitalized, of troubles. This idea of, do we fight the fight or flight response? Do you fight life? Do you fight the troubles? Or do you sit back and allow this to just happen? Do you allow life to go throughout and to just happen? Do you take a very aggressive idea at it, or do you take a very, not necessarily lazy, but a very laid back view on life as a whole, on struggles as a whole? He continues to go out throughout with, although no rhyme scheme, but continues to be very organized and very well thought out. He explains, thus conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution. Speaking of the native hue of resolution, talking about how we see life, the native hue, the view, the colors, the depiction of resolution, which is generally idea seen as life, both native hue and resolution all capitalized, showing this great, again, importance of this. He, again, is questioning that the pangs of disguised love, the laws delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of unworthy tasks. Again, using several examples of allegory, such as the insolence of office, the laws delay, such ideas like that, as showing that each different dimension of life shows this different overall feeling towards a general idea of fear and unwillingness to expand into the unknown, which this being suicide, death. He is contemplating this suicide, this death, and he is explaining why people do not go and do not take this step towards death, because it is something that is unknown and is something that is people are scared of. It is something that we do not know, therefore we will not venture there. It is what makes us cowards and what makes us humans. This is what Hamlet is speaking of in this soliloquy.